In this week's episode, I'm joined by Sam Matanle, the co-founder of Batch LDN, a clothing company with a focus on sustainability. In this episode, Sam reflects on turning a 2024 break-in into a bold, humorous campaign, sharing how crisis storytelling, transparency, and resilience have shaped his approach to leadership, brand building, and navigating failure. Hi, Sam.
What's up, BJ?
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, mate. How are you?
You're looking really sharp.
Thank you.
Obviously, Batch, your business has taken off. Lots has happened. I've personally worn it in the past at different events. How did you go about starting this business, and what is your origin story?
I mean, quite a simple origin story. I wanted a casual suit and I couldn't find any good ones. And then I kind of noticed that traditional suits were dying out. We'd kind of gone into this state of the world where smart casual has become the dress code, but it's also the same dress code that strikes dread in anyone that hears it, because what does it mean? Does it mean smart? Does it mean casual? And I don't think anyone really knows how to dress in that scenario. So we decided to develop something that you can dress up to look smart and you can dress down to look casual, but it solves that what to wear when you want to look good dilemma that we all go through probably on a daily basis, something that you know you can throw on and you're going to look the part, and it works with everything that you've got in your wardrobe already. In essence, takes the stress out of getting dressed. So that was sort of the starting point, and then started looking into the fashion industry. And it doesn't take long to reveal that it's a pretty unsustainable mess.
Yeah.
And the amount of clothing that's going to landfill and going straight from factories to landfill or warehouses to landfill is pretty crazy. And some of the stats that back that up are quite horrific. And one that rings true to me is 6 in 10 items of clothing that are made end up in landfill within a year. When you start to process that, it's a bonkers stat. And the other one is a truck full of clothing heads to landfill every second.
Wow.
Like, there's a lot that's going to waste, basically. But I was approaching it from the mindset of someone who wasn't a particularly conscious consumer myself. And so, the two questions are, why is there so much waste and why don't we care? And the reason there's so much waste is because we're reducing too many things. It's quite simple, really. Too many styles are getting released, too many sizes in each style. If they get it wrong or it doesn't sell, it gets discounted. If that doesn't sell, then it goes straight to landfill before anyone's even touched it. Mm. And then from a consumer's perspective, when it actually comes to spending money on something, sustainability falls right down to the bottom of the list. And there's two things we really care about, which is price and quality. Those are the two key factors to making a purchase decision. So we decided to make everything to order, which solved both of those problems. So in essence, if you only make exactly what you need, that cuts out all the waste and all the overproduction. But from a business perspective, we're not having to account for end of season sales and holding stock and returns and wastage. So we don't need to charge as much margin. So we can deliver a much higher quality item for a lot less and solve that price quality equation that we're looking for as consumers. So yeah, that's kind of Batch in a nutshell.
Were you someone who had a long history in fashion, or your co-founder had a history in fashion? I know you might have touched on this before, but just for those listening who might be thinking about pivoting or going into an industry and they've got that problem that they're trying to really solve, what gave you the confidence reps? Was it something that you've done before, or yeah? No,
to be honest, neither myself or my co-founder had any fashion experience. And whilst that's been a challenge in so many ways, it's kind of also been a superpower and why we've driven to do things differently to how it's always been done, and sort of change an industry and adjust how I would typically would imagine a fashion model to work. What we did have, though, was a good amount of startup experience. We had those sort of basic business skills. How do you do a cash flow? When do you register for VAT? All things that you can find out, but because we already had that knowledge, it meant that we had the mental space to go and be like, right, what's the tailor? What's the pattern? How do you sew something together? Who does that? Who does X, Y, Z? So yeah, partly that. And also, I mean, like you said, when you've got a problem and you can see that you've got a solution for it, that for me should always be the starting point of any business. Like, are you actually solving a consumer pain, a problem that people genuinely have? Because if you're not, then probably go and work out what that is before you launch it, because that's the number one fundamental thing to being able to market, grow, get people to buy what you're selling versus what sounds like a good idea on paper.
Yeah. Well, look, your idea on paper has definitely had some great success. Legendary So Solid rapper and Top Boy actor Asher D is a customer. got famous comedians, you've got all kinds of people wearing your stuff, which is amazing. But obviously, as you touched on, problems are something that we have to solve as entrepreneurs. In 2024, November, there was a major story for you guys, a break-in, you lost a lot of stock. There was something that you had been building almost ripped away from you. How did you navigate the challenge of safety, stability and security in that time period?
Yeah, it's a good question. I got a call at 5 a.m. and I was asleep, so I didn't pick it up. But then woke up at whatever it was, 7 to a text being like, call me now, your shop's been broken into, which is about the worst thing that you can possibly hear as a founder. So in your head, you're sort of running through all of these things, like, have they taken everything? Is there anything left? What's happened? So I call my co-founder, Julian, and we get on line bikes and rush down to the shop. And weirdly enough, we were quite relieved to see that they'd broken into one window, reached through the window and taken a whole collection of clothing, which at the time was this new collection of suits that we just launched. With this made-to-order model, we need them for people to touch, feel and try in order to then commit to buying it. So we're sort of pulling our hairs out on one end, but on the other end, quite relieved that they hadn't taken everything and that we still had something left in the shop. So it was a sort of period of relief. And when we got down there, we just, like, to be honest, for our own socials, just started filming it, filming our reactions. You know, you kind of look to your friends and family for support in moments like that. And we sort of try and document all the good bits, so worth documenting the bad bits as well.
Yeah.
That started to pick up a load of traction. And we kind of thought, well, you know, maybe there's more we can do with this. Are people interested in seeing this? I think there's something about humans that we like seeing negative stuff and watching problems and reactions to that. So we got hold of the CCTV footage, put that out across our socials. That took off. Then the press picked it up and it went out in a number of tabloids. And right at this same point in time, we were building our new shop. So we were in this pop-up shop in Spitalfields, the one that had got robbed, whilst trying to build a new shop, which is already stressful as it is. So we're you know, not having a great time, to put it simply. And we're sat in this new shop with a load of problems with the build that was going on, sort of head in hands. And I turned to Julian and like off the back of the initial bit that we'd put out into the world, picking up traction and doing really well, I said, I think we can push this further. And at the same time, an agency called 10 Days reached out and said, I think you can push this further. So we put our heads together and built a viral marketing campaign off the back of it.
And that campaign was called See It, Say It, Sort It.
See It, Say It, Suited.
Yeah, See It, Say It, Suit It. And can you tell us a bit more about the campaign? What did you learn from it? And this is kind of a real good, maybe a little mini masterclass for people in crisis management, combined with like startup resilience and startup marketing.
Yeah. So the campaign we came up with was See It, Say It, Suited, kind of riffing off TFL, See It, Say It, Sorted, where 10 Days had access to a billboard in Shoreditch and managed to get us 7 days free airtime on this billboard, which, I mean, it was like 10 seconds every 2 minutes. So the point wasn't for people to see it on the billboard. The point was like, we've made a real effort to push it further. And got a photo. We took a photo from one of our recent shoots, photoshopped a balaclava over it, and then said, if you see any well-dressed criminals running around, give us a call. Took photos in front of it and then pushed that out. That then got picked up by the press again. That had its own viral moment. And really, it was just a massive lesson that, you know, there's always a positive that you can feed out of a negative if you get creative with it. The one thing that you'll always have, probably in any business, but particularly in startups, is things go wrong a lot. And like, you can guarantee, doesn't matter what business it is, how good you are as a founder, there's always going to be things that go wrong. And so I think the founders that make it further, or the businesses that make it further, are the ones that get good at solving the problems and dealing with them without becoming too disheartened by it. So there was a real big learning in that. And I think that a piece of advice that I have that took me a little while to come to terms with, for anyone that is starting a business, has started, or is thinking about it, is to accept that it's quite likely you'll fail. And as soon as you do that, it allows you to then make good decisions for something. When something like that happens, if you're so attached to this thing that it can't fail and you won't let that happen, the emotion that you feel when something like that goes wrong is so much higher that you're not able to make clear decisions, be creative. Like fear and stress and creativity don't really go hand in hand that well. So yeah, that was like a good thing that we accepted that beforehand, where you can go, look, I know this is quite likely to fail, but we're going to do everything we can to make it not fail. That's a different place to it can't.
What were some of the impacts from this campaign?
It's probably been our biggest dial mover to date, and we still to this day have people come into the shop, and we always ask people when they come into the shop, you know, how did you come across Batch? How did you hear about the brand? And we still have people come in and say, I saw when you got robbed. I saw when you got robbed was at this shop. We still have the 2 bricks that they threw through the window in our new shop, which is sort of on display, which I actually kind of messed up when we got there and we were sort of reviewing the crime scene. I picked the bricks up being like, this is what they threw. And then when forensics came down, they're like, well, that was stupid, wasn't it? So now we can't use that as evidence. But yeah, I would love for that campaign to have meant that we recovered the suits and we got them back and got a call saying, I've seen this well-dressed criminal. But to be honest, they were probably sold for 50 quid in the back of a pub. But what it did do was sort of elevate our brand. It showed us, it was another lesson in we're a challenger brand. Let's be a challenger. Let's do disruptive marketing. Like we can be a disruptor within this industry. We're challenging the traditional suit. We're challenging the normal fashion model. And sometimes you can, I don't know, lose track of behaving like that and be a bit serious and try and do all the sort of basics and actually, you know, like have a bit of fun with it and push the boundaries and do you know, find other ways of getting that same viral moment or doing a PR stunt or whatever it is.
Big thanks to Hiscox for supporting this podcast. Whether you're a sole trader, scaling a startup, or running a growing enterprise, Hiscox Business Insurance could protect you if the worst happens. Their policies are built around your business to protect you from the real risk you face every day. Head to hiscox.co.uk/business insurance to learn more.
I'm sure there's setbacks you haven't documented and you haven't created, you know, a big series behind. Like I'm thinking about stuff around angel investing. I'm thinking about talent, you know, conveyor belt of talent is not easy. Working with family. How do you decide whether a setback is a sign to pivot or whether it's something to push through?
I think it depends on the setback, really. I mean, it's pretty hard to pick one or the other. You know, we had an issue over this summer. We had a load of our staff leave for different reasons, and they were all valid reasons. And you know, one come over from Australia and realised actually wanted to do a bit more travelling. The other one was struggling mentally, living in London, and so didn't want to live in London anymore. Another one got poached by a bigger business who came and nicked them and offered twice the salary. And in those moments, you do sit down and think, you know, is this us, or are they actually valid reasons, or are they excuses? Or do we need to internally sit down and think, is the structure right? Are we pushing people too hard or not hard enough? Are people motivated? Are we celebrating the wins enough, or you know, are we being too open with the things that, you know, as founders you want to improve on, but as an employee, you know, you've got to be driven and want to work for something that you know, fast moving business and ship. So I think on all of those moments, you have to be introspective to understand whether it's something to push through or something to pivot. Yeah. And like look internally first rather than blame externally. I'm sure there were loads of precautions we could have put in place to not get robbed in the first place and got shutters installed, or, you know, had the right level of insurance to cover it, which we didn't at the time, because when we started it, when I first signed up for insurance or got insurance cover, contents cover was one of the items on the list, and I sat down and went, that's a bit expensive, like we're only a new brand, who's going to steal from us? Like, it's not, you know, they're not even going to be able to sell it on, what's the point?
Big advice to any founder right now, get contents cover.
Get contents cover, or just like plan for the future rather than plan for right now. But in many ways, had we done that differently, then we might not have been so quick to try and push on to the next stage. So, you know, or like make a big campaign out of it because you just claim it back and move on. I don't know if we would or not, so, you know, because it didn't happen. But yeah, I think there's got to be a balance of looking introspectively and then working out is this something we could have controlled? If we could have controlled it, would it have made a difference? And how much difference would it make? Are we wasting time pivoting here? Or do we need to push through and actually just understand that things are going to take chips out of you all the way through?
Oh, that's great. I love that. This podcast series, we've been talking a lot to people about failure and also successes. As you look back at your journey, what are some moments that have made you proud in this current business or just in your entrepreneurial career so far?
God, there's been so many moments. We've been very lucky to grow pretty quickly as a brand. I think, again, largely off the back of we solve a problem. We solve a problem for all men. So whether that was going to the O2 to watch Ramesh Ranganathan wear our suit on stage, or recently partnered with Burnley Football Club to be their official formal wear supplier, and going up to Burnley to see them at their first home game against Liverpool wearing all their fresh suits.
Love that.
With the Scouse players coming out in their tracksuits looking half as good. Liverpool actually ended up winning 1-0, so let's not talk about that. But yeah, there's been loads of amazing moments, bringing my sister into the business and developing that sort of family relationship into a business relationship, which came with its challenges at different moments. Opening the store in Covent Garden. I think just generally progressing myself and my future and my career and Batch alongside it has been really amazing. And lots of challenges along the way, but yeah, mostly things are going pretty well.
From a challenger's perspective, have you ever had to deal with imposter syndrome? If so, how have you overcome it? And what's your thoughts when I ask you, what does resilience look like for you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, all the time. Imposter syndrome is like daily basis type thing. And part of that is an understanding that I won't be the right person to lead this business forever. And I can take it to a certain stage and then bring in someone that's got experience in doing that. But I also heard a great phrase about imposter syndrome, which says, if you're ever feeling imposter syndrome, then understand you're in a period of growth, which I'm sure you've probably heard before, or lots of people have. But for me, that just completely reframes it into, why am I in this role? I'm not the right person for this. What am I doing? Help. To like, oh, okay, I'm just out of my comfort zone. I'm learning something that I don't know. I'm growing in a way that I don't know. And like, I need to go and make those mistakes or not. Sometimes you don't make the mistakes and you just grow without it. But more often than not, you've got to get it wrong a few times to get to the next step.
No, I love that. And what does resilience mean to you?
Resilience means to me being relentless. But actually, I don't know. I kind of hate that phrase because, yes, you do have to be relentless. And you do have to keep pushing forward. But in order to be relentless, you've got to balance it out as well. I think we've moved past this idea of hustle culture to a certain extent. Like, there are times where you just need to
roll your sleeves up,
commit to it. I've done it. I've had to do it a couple of times, but in the knowledge that I'm going to burn out, and then plan for that time when I do burn out.
Yeah.
So that, the building this new shop was one of them. To build the shop, to be in the shop 7 days a week, 9:30 till 7, like that's a lot. That's a lot. And it was a lot. But factored it in that it was like, right, get through Christmas and then wind back down in January, do dry Jan, like give up smoking, whatever it was. Yeah. So I think, we've now got better at finding that balance between the two things. But it's like, be relentless, both in your work, but also in your recovery.
100%.
And your social life. But you have to actively do that. You can't just sit back and wait for it to happen. It just won't.
Yeah.
It's always easy to answer another email. Or so on the flip side, it's easy to just lie on the sofa all day doing nothing. Like, in some ways that's recovery. In other ways, it's not really.
Yeah. What is something that people need to talk about more when it comes to failure?
Good question. I think we're not that, like, as a population, I don't know if it's just a British population, we're not that great about talking about failure. It's something that is almost a bit of a stigma.
Yeah, it's taboo.
That we hide or we give a half answer or we dress it down with a success. And yeah, we don't want to be talking about failures all the time because that's pretty boring and maybe not that constructive, but it's really important to take that moment to explain that to people. for one, it to not feel like as big a failure. Like I'm very much a believer in a problem shared is a problem halved. But two, to unlock space for other people to tell you about their failures. It takes someone to take the lead and be like, I failed in this, for someone else to go, well, that's funny, I failed in that as well. I had a good example of this when I've seen a counsellor for the last 8 years, love it, love therapy, would recommend it to anyone. But at the time, when I finally plucked up the courage to talk to my friends about it and say, look, I've been started seeing a counsellor, like quite nervous to reveal that fact. And the amount of people that I would never have expected that turned around and said on the slide, like, oh yeah, actually, me too. And I just thought, like, that's just so stupid, because had someone said that they were doing that to me, I might have been a bit more self-reflective. I might not have got to as low a point as I was to feel like I needed to go and see a counsellor. And so, yeah, that's a small snippet that I think we can take that same energy and put it into the rest of life, because men particularly, but all people, but particularly men are really bad at talking about that. We'd far rather talk about sport, gaming, pints. But I don't know, next time you're at the pub watching a football, drinking a pint, that's quite a good time to talk about something you're not feeling so great about.
To end on a positive note, to give people some hope.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now about this industry, about this business, about retail, what would be some of Sam's rules? It could be 5 rules, 10 rules. Let's mood board together. What are some rules for founders in 2026 and years coming forward with the knowledge you know now about business when it comes to resilience, when it comes to failure, when it comes to just being in business?
Good question. I think if you don't shoot, you're not going to score. So like, go and get started.
Yeah, love that.
It's never too late to start as well.
Mm-hmm.
I always love, I think it's Morgan Freeman got his first big break when he was 37. So like, no matter how old you are, there's always a good time to go and start a business.
Yep.
I think find the balance. It's not easy, but like, try and find the balance. Be active in your approach to being on, but also be active in your approach to being off, and fuel yourself in the right ways, both mentally, physically, etc. Don't cut out your social life. Is a big one that I see a lot of people do, where they just pull themselves out of a social situation. And you know what? It's bloody hard. Like, you're tired. You've probably spent all day socialising.
Every single time you pull up on your real peoples, you're like, there's nowhere else I needed to be.
Completely.
Every time.
But the fear of going there.
That to-do list never finishes.
I haven't finished a to-do list. I spent all day talking to people, investors or whatever. They're not going to get it. Just like, put yourself in that situation. Go and don't drink if you're worried about it, but go for a couple of hours, and if you hate it, then leave. But for me, that's a really important one. And I think find your community, whether that's like with your clients that you're serving, but also with people that are going through the same thing with stuff. That's founders. If you're a head of marketing, go and find other heads of marketing.
Yeah.
Go and find people that it's easier to share those failures and challenges with. I've always found when I'm in a room that's full of just founders, the problems come out. When it's founders and others and investors and agencies and whatever, the problems don't come out, because everyone's got half an eye on, is that a prospective client? Is that a prospective investor? Is that an agency I want to impress or whatever? And so, yeah, I think that put yourself in networks, or find the communities, or build the communities of people that are in the same field, in the same level as you, so that it's easier to share, one, the wins, because people get it. It's all well and good, like, telling your mum that you've just won this bit of business, but like, it's hard for her to really understand because she's not living it and breathing it. But also the lows, and also the failures, and also the bad bits as well. It's easier to share that with someone that can understand it.
I love that. And a mantra or something that people can think about in the upcoming 12 months.
I'm going to use the one that we use internally because I really like it. It's raise the standard. Raise the standard of everything. How you look, how you feel, how you relax, how you turn up. I think if you just fix that in your head, like, it doesn't have to be the top standard, but like, how can you raise it?
100%.
So add that 1%. But
yeah, where can people find you?
Yeah, so we're Batch LDN, so batch.ldn on Instagram, batchldn.com. We've got a shop in Covent Garden just off 7 Dials. So either come see us in the shop or I'm personally on LinkedIn and Instagram. If anyone wants to chat about anything that I've spoken about, I'm always open.
My man.
Nice.
Thank you.
You've been watching the Small Business Sessions Founder Fails podcast, brought to you by Enterprise Nation in collaboration with Hiscox. Big thanks to Hiscox for supporting this podcast. Whether you're a sole trader, scaling a startup, or running a growing enterprise, Hiscox Business Insurance could protect you if the worst happens. Their policies are built around your business to protect you from the real risk you face every day. Head to hiscox.co.uk/business insurance to learn more. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.